Let me bring in Prasanna at this point. Prasanna, you heard Amit and Raja Manohar talk about what is happening in their businesses and the domains they operate in. Give us a sense of what have you done over the last 6 months, which has helped you build a business that is relevant and hopefully will thrive even more in 2021.
Right. Thank you so much. As a business, we work on the post-harvest side of agriculture, and we try and make sure that the produce which is harvested finally reaches the end users of commodities. And we are a national player spread across about 21 states in the country. So obviously, COVID in the last few months have had disruptions, but as we've seen, agriculture has been an industry which has shown tremendous amount of resilience, and it has come out stronger. So has our company. We've really benefited from those tailwinds as well. And for us, we operate warehouses. We make sure that there is an integration of different services through the use of technology, and integrate finance and market linkages along with storage of produce. And over the past few months, what we've done is to really pivot into a digital platform which brings together all of the post-harvest services of aggregation, storage, finance, and market linkages all together on one platform. And what we've seen is about a 6x growth in terms of our business. We are, we handle about $1 billion worth of agriculture produce spread across 1,500 warehouses in the country. And with the digital platform, whatever we built in about 5 years, a similar amount of volume was added in the last 6 months on our platform. So I think, these are the tailwinds that, this is the silver lining that the pandemic has really brought about. The acceptance and adoption of technology has been tremendous. And we know that there are challenges to be able to reach to the farmers, the small farmer producer organizations, and smaller aggregators in smaller markets with the help of technology. But the amount of traction that we've seen in terms of adoption of technology has been extremely encouraging.
Right, absolutely. And Prasanna, also tell us, you speak of technology, you speak about digitization and how it's penetrated our life and how it's in fact changed everything. People you would least expect to be inclined towards the digital medium are adept at it today. But, the contention, or rather the apprehension, is that when will it actually start to help the rural population of our country, which in a way does not have the wherewithal, the apparatus also, to deal with this digital revolution?
It is a process, but it is extremely encouraging to see the kind of adoption that is happening. I mean, I could certainly talk about the business that we do. When we started out, we really found that there is no visibility of agriculture warehouses across the country. Even the finance minister had spoken about it in the last budget, where we talked about geotagging of all agriculture warehouses. So being a post-harvest services company, we have digitized agriculture warehouses. And today, as we speak, though it is a small number, we have about 3,000 agriculture warehouses listed across 300 districts of the country, where farmer producer organizations and small aggregators could locate a warehouse, can select a warehouse on more than 100 parameters. Now, the platform also brings in finance, because if you want to store your produce, you would require finance and avail finance to be able to bridge that working capital gap. And finally, you are able to sell the produce on the platform itself. With the disruption of markets, these services have been essential. So we've seen a significant growth in terms of people intending to store the produce rather than selling it at distress values. So it is a rational need, and our belief is that the product that you design has to be designed keeping in mind the reality of the end consumer that you're trying to service. So if you're trying to service a farmer, you will have to make your UX, you have to make your UI, you have to make your platform understandable by that particular target audience. And I think that's going to be extremely critical. with the kind of advances in technology, with the kind of use of AI, I think making that possible is, making that happen is certainly possible. Using of voice bots, for example, or making sure that what you want to offer to that end consumer is understood by them. Just to give you a small example, because we really sometimes feel that, these are farmers, they probably do not understand technology. But if you see the penetration of Facebook and YouTube in these markets is exceptionally high. I mean, maybe today in the urban audiences, we find that, probably Facebook isn't so cool. Maybe Instagram is, or maybe a few other platforms are. But in the rural markets, Facebook still continues to be extremely relevant. And we'll have to find ways, keeping in mind the realities of the market that exist. And, I really see, and I'm extremely hopeful that many entities like us and companies like us would certainly, follow these leads.
Superb.
Let us go to Prasanna. What is your view on the stimulus from the government? Has it worked for the entrepreneur? What can the government do better? And what are your top lockdown lessons?
In terms of the stimulus package specifically, I'll talk about the support that has been provided and extended amongst, from a financing perspective. The interest waivers, the moratoriums has certainly helped businesses. I would still say that there could be more, keeping in mind that major sectors have been impacted. While as a company, we decided not to use any of these because as a business we've gained from the pandemic. But there are sectors, sector-specific packages could have probably helped a little more, is what my thought would be in terms of the support. Also, in the middle of the pandemic, we've also had the farm laws coming in, which in my view are a step in the positive direction. There are concerns which have been exhibited by farmers and farmer bodies, which I'm sure the government has to take a lead and allay those concerns. But overall, I think those are positive steps and have been overdue. That is a major impetus to the agriculture sector, is what my thought would be. In terms of the pandemic and how we look at our business and the takeaways for us, as a company, we've been among the few startups who've been able to raise money in the midst of the pandemic. So we've raised recently closed a round of $21 million coming into the company in a situation where the incoming investors haven't still met us face to face. Now that's the new reality. And I think that is exactly what we see getting translated in our work as well. So what really has helped us is to look beyond the specific constraints that have been brought around by the pandemic. So to be able to reach out to customers using technology, to be able to manage your warehouses and your business, which also includes a significant part of the lending business for us, to use technology to be able to do that. So those are specific innovations that have been able to be brought in for us.
Okay, and Prasanna, what are your top lockdown lessons?
And
what are the things that you've learned as an entrepreneur that will hold you in good stead throughout your life?
I think to be able to spot the opportunity in the midst of adversity. I think that's been exceptionally exceptional for us, and it's also a lesson to see how new business models came up. I think Amit also mentioned to be able to be nimble-footed, to try out things, to close that feedback loop faster. So that to say, okay, we tried this, didn't work, let's try and innovate, add a new thing. I think that's the other thing that one has really learned. The third thing that one has learned, at least as an entrepreneur, is to work with frugal resources. Whatever resources are available, how do you make sure that you can get a bigger bang from that buck is extremely important. And it's also to make sure that you pass that on to your customer. To make sure that if the customer is spending a rupee on your service, how do you make sure that you actually give him or give her a return which is more than what he or she really derived in the past. So I think those have been specific kind of learnings for us.
Prasanna this time. Prasanna, if you had to kind of outline top 2 or 3 trends as we move into 2021, what would those be? And I ask the same to Yogesh, to Amit, and to Raja Manohar. Top 2, 3 trends as we move into 2021.
I think the use of services through digital channels is going to be one of the greatest trends as we go forward, and the ability of this to take on the rural markets and the rural realities is the other thing that we really see happening. Again, specifically keeping in mind the business that we are in, I really see a large amount of distant transactions happening and also facilitated by probably the stronger implementation and relevant implementation of the new farm laws. So buyers sitting in distant markets being able to buy from other markets, probably directly from farmers, would be another trend that would come in. Again, specifically with respect to our own business, I also see the firming up of farmer producer organizations as a key supply chain player in agriculture value chains, being a very important and a very relevant change happening as a result of how things have moved in the past few months.